Schefter, what do we know about what went into this decision?
Greeny, the truth of the matter is it really wasn't much of a decision during the offseason. The Saints never vacillated off the fact that they did not expect Drew Brees to return this season. And in fact, if we go back to last offseason, he told them at the Pro Bowl that he was retiring last offseason. Now, last offseason, he did change his mind. And if he hadn't changed his mind, there's a good chance Tom Brady might have been playing quarterback for the New Orleans Saints this past season. But Brees did decide to return. Brady didn't have a landing spot in New Orleans. He wound up going to Tampa, and Drew Brees came back for one more year. I think everybody operated all along as if this was going to be his last season. And even though he never made anything official from the time the season ended until yesterday, the Saints never thought for a moment that Drew Brees was coming back. And so they've been proceeding all along. And I think Drew Brees has been planning to move ahead in his life. He just happened to make it official on the 15-year anniversary to the day that he did sign with New Orleans, which I remind you, Greeny, was at a time where people were fleeing the city. People were going out of it after Hurricane Katrina. Drew Brees went in, and that's why, one of the main reasons why he's so beloved there, because he helped resurrect that franchise and that city at a time when it needed it most.
I think you could make an argument that no athlete has ever meant more to the city in which they played than Drew Brees has to New Orleans. We will talk at great length about him and give him his due in just a moment. But, Schefter, it does beg the question, if the Saints have known this was coming all along, then they have already begun making their plans for the future. Who should we expect to be their quarterback next year?
They reworked Taysom Hill's contract over the weekend and gave him, and again, let's put this out there, a 4-year, $140 million deal. That's not really a 4-year, $140 million deal. The 4 years void, but you have to do the deal to a quarterback's value. And so what that move does, more than anything else, and really the only thing it does, is it saves the Saints $7.5 million against the cap this year, which gives them more flexibility, which allows Taysom Hill to come in, and which may even give them some flexibility to try to sign Jameis Winston, who they'd like to bring back and have compete with Taysom Hill for the starting job in New Orleans this summer. Hill-Winston is the most logical course of action. We know Hill is going to be there. We'll see if they could get a deal done in the end with Winston, which they'd like to do, and those would be the two most logical candidates to try to replace the Hall of Fame candidate in Drew Brees.
Yes, they would. But, Schefter, it is impossible for me not to remind you that it was to you whom Russell Wilson's agent said the Saints are one of the teams he'd be willing to be traded to. I would not be doing my job if I didn't say, should that even be in the conversation? Should we even mention the name Russell Wilson in this discussion?
Yeah, it should be mentioned because it's out there. But here's the thing. As all these teams are setting out to fill quarterback needs this week and with the draft next month, nobody knows if Seattle or Houston is going to go ahead and trade its quarterback. Nobody knows. And I think nobody can count on it. So every team is left in an odd position this week and next month of having to make plans, and by the way, maybe even filling a position that would cost you the chance to get Russell Wilson or Deshaun Watson, but nobody can count on that right now. That's the problem. And so if you're the New Orleans Saints, even though, yes, you'd love to make a deal for Russell Wilson, you can't sit there and count on that happening. If that happens to materialize, and let me say that there is a history of trades, big trades, between these two teams. We saw Jimmy Graham, Max Unger, other players dealt between these two particular franchises. Then New Orleans would love that, and it would make the plans at that point in time. But it can't head into the offseason that begins this week, really, and say, well, we're in the thick of it for Russell Wilson. Everybody is hopeful on the outside that they can land Russell Wilson, but nobody's counting on landing Russell Wilson.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.